was the first to predict the recession, the first to call for the nationalisation of Northern Rock, and the first to call for big interest rate cuts. If anybody has a crystal ball on the British economy, it's Shadow Chancellor for the Liberal Democrats, Vince Cable. Vince, 16 years of growth, why has it all gone so badly wrong now?
Well, I think there are problems in the British economy and there are problems in the global economy, the big banking crisis. But, a lot of these problems were grown at home. The growth that we had in the Brown boom years was not stable, it was not sustainable. A lot of it rested on very heavy personal borrowing, much of it secured against this bubble in the housing market, and banks like Northern Rock, for example, were just grossly irresponsible in the way they lent. Multiples of 5 or 6 times people income, mortgages of 125% of the value of the house. This was utterly irresponsible, and it fed a boom that couldn't be kept going and is now collapsing.
Okay, so we're in the situation now. How do we get out of it?
It's not simple. There's no silver bullet. It partly depends on what happens in the rest of the world, partly depends on unblocking the banking system, but there are things governments can do, and first of all there have to be cuts in interest rates. The Bank of England is independent, but they've got the point. We argued first of all that the interest rates have to be cut deeply. That's now happening. Government's also got to take a lead in keeping the economy afloat. Public investment, for example, we argued very strongly that there've got to be more social housing. A lot of unemployed building workers. Land is cheap now. Just get on with the job of building houses for the homeless, people on housing waiting list. Public transport investment, other infrastructure projects like the dualling of the A1, massive insulation of people's homes to save energy, deal with fuel poverty, create employment. There's a lot government can do. In addition, tax cuts for the low paid. A way of creating greater fairness in the tax system if the richer people pay more, as we believe they should, and also injecting some spending into the economy.
Right. You've rejected the 2.5% cut in VAT, the temporary cut, but you're calling for a cut in income tax. So why would income tax cuts work where VAT cuts wouldn't?
Well, we believe the income tax cuts are right in their own terms. It's right that we have a fairer tax system, that people on very low incomes, people on or below, in some cases, the equivalent of the minimum wage, that they should pay less tax or be lifted out of tax. That's right in itself, but it's also the case that people on very low incomes necessarily spend more than people who are very rich, and so you get help for the economy. The value-added tax change, it's so marginal, makes so little difference. It's also costly for businesses introduced. They've got to pay £50 million simply to do all the changes, and then £50 million when they change it back again. I don't think anybody thinks this is convincing. And just take an example. £5 off a £220 imported Chinese widescreen television. I mean, what does that do for the economy? 50p off a £25 restaurant meal. Again, is this going to make any difference? I doubt it.
Yeah. Okay, Vince Cable, thank you very much.
Cheers.
Carol Woods from Durham City. The Liberal Democrats have rejected the 2.5% cut in VAT, but that's a tax cut, so why wouldn't that help in your constituency?
Well, I just don't think it'll actually make a great deal of difference. I mean, many of the shops in the city centre in Durham and in the out-of-town shopping centres have got such big cuts to try and encourage customers that 2.5% just gets lost in all of that when you've got shops that are offering 20% discounts at the moment. So I just don't think it's almost a waste of money to waste so much of our money actually on a cut like that people actually won't appreciate. That you've got to have money to be able to spend it. It doesn't actually put more money in people's pockets.
Right, okay. Ron Beadle, Newcastle North candidate. If VAT cuts don't help, why would an income tax cut help instead?
And Jonathan, in Newcastle there are tens of thousands of people who earn just above the minimum wage, and they're really suffering at the moment. An income tax will do far more to help those people than a VAT cut ever would. An income tax cut for those people is fairer, and in addition those people are going to spend, and we need to encourage people to spend.
Thank you very much.